Hello out there in VC land. Thanks for joining us. Tony here. Tony's LPs are us. Really appreciate you stopping by the channel. And as always, get this out of the way. If you like and subscribe, really appreciate it. And all of you who watch a lot and have subscribed, I want to thank you. The other day I said I was going to speak to a giant YouTuber, and I got to talk to him a little bit, and I got to talk to one of his main guys who do a lot of his behind the scenes work, and that was Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk owns Gary Media Productions out of New York City, and he is a mind-boggling guy to talk to, a guru, a charismatic person, and let's face it, he's got tens of millions of followers, subscribers, and I basically got a chance to talk to him and his assistant Sid. I want to thank Sid, and Sid gave me some good tips, and the main thing is we didn't get too long, and it was more of a social affair, so Gary didn't want to talk business to me, obviously, but I did get a chance to talk to him. And Sid was very helpful. And Sid gave me some great tips. And Gary said, look, it's all about content. You got to throw content out there. And Sid gave me some great tips about another element of my short. I do a lot of short videos with different albums, and I talk about different things. I show them, 60-minute clips or 60-second clips and 15-second clips. And he gave me another aspect that I could add. There's an element where on each short I could actually feature another video, an additional video on there to draw people to that channel. So if you watch some of my shorts, you'll see a lot of them will now have additional videos on there, and I thank Sid and Gary for that tip. And of course, content. So I'm trying to do content. And the other day I'm talking to my good friend Peter, a mentor, brothers from a different mother type of thing. We went to the same college, but we didn't know each other in college, same age, but we connected later on. Unfortunately, we didn't know each other in college, but really good rock and roll guy, great guitar player, great guy all around, a real good friend of the family. And anyway, he told me check out the Billy Joel documentary on, I believe it's on HBO Max. So I did. Unbelievable. I didn't watch it all. And then today he shot me another text and showed me an album that's 61 years old. And I got to think, wow, there's a connection there between the album that's 61 years old and Billy Joel. And we're gonna start here. I'll talk about the connection, and I want to again thank Gary and Sid. But we're gonna talk about the connection between Billy Joel, first album, Cold Spring Harbor, from Family Productions. I think the executive of this, I forget his name, but he was the founder of the Woodstock concert concept. So it was a big deal when this album was recorded and released. And if you know anything about this album, it didn't do really well. Cold Spring Harbor, hard to find out. It's been redone. It's been remastered because originally the speed of the tape was somehow pitched higher, and Billy Joel's voice didn't sound correct. He said he sounded like a chipmunk. So Cold Spring Harbor now we're going to get to the crust of this two-pronged story where these two artists, these two giants, will collide in a way. So Cold Spring Harbor, put that aside. Billy Joel's on WMMR FM in Philadelphia. I remember listening to that station. I'm right in the middle. We could hear New York, Philly. I have some of their albums. They actually put out compilation albums, WMMR. Great content out of Philly. So Billy Joel was there, and I believe they either broadcast one of his live performances, or he was in studio and he did a couple of tunes, maybe a mini concert, and he sung Captain Jack. Now we all know Captain Jack is from this album, Piano Man, and here's an OG with the hype sticker. It's a nice price, but I also have an OG. But it's cool that they actually included the original sticker that showed all the hits. Captain Jack, You're My Home, Piano Man, Traveling Prayer. So Clive Davis, who was the executive of Columbia Records at that time, and some Columbia other executives heard this broadcast, and they say, this guy's phenomenal. So they start to search Billy Joel out to sign him. Simultaneously, with Columbia, Atlantic Records also got wind of this great talent that was with a record label that could not give him the love and the push that he really wanted. But the contract was kind of ironclad. And Billy Joel later says, I don't hold that against them. They supported me when no one else wanted to support me. But that's a whole nother story. But check out if you want to expand on that, check out the HBO special documentary. I think it's 2 parts. It's probably 5 hours. It's completely, I think it's accurate. And it's so authentic and comprehensive that you're going to love it. If you love Billy Joel, like I've loved Billy Joel since Cold Spring Harbor and Broke, and it was a song on Cold Spring Harbor, which is still considered a hit. She's Got Away, which is a great love song. So anyway, Clive Davis heard him, Atlantic Records heard him. They were vying for this. They were, serenading him, this contract, that contract. And Billy Joel said, Columbia's great, Atlantic's great. And I'm thinking he's going to sign with Atlantic because Atlantic has one of his heroes, Ray Charles on that label. Ray Charles was on Atlantic from the 50s, right? But no, he chose Columbia. And the reason he chose Columbia was because Columbia signed this guy, Bob Dylan. Now, no big deal, Columbia signs Bob Dylan. But Billy Joel's, mindset was, if Columbia has Bob Dylan on the label, and Bob Dylan really hasn't had any, he had a few hits, but Bob Dylan wasn't a singles guy. He didn't sing. He didn't sell a lot of singles. The records did sell, obviously, sometimes, but he wasn't a major single guy. His records didn't sell in the millions, in the tens of millions. And Billy Joel said, you know what? If they stuck with Bob Dylan all this time, and this was around 72, so Bob Dylan was still Bob Dylan was recording, 8 years or so, not 7 years or whatever. So Billy Joel's mindset was, well, it's New York. Atlantic was in New York. He's a Long Island boy. But they supported Bob Dylan through thick and thin. If a record didn't sell, if an album didn't sell as much as the last album, they still supported him. And that's why Billy Joel basically signed with Columbia. Now, again, we're looking at the first Bob Dylan record. This Bob Dylan record was released, I have my numbers here, 1962, was released in 1962. Now I'm going to show you the albums that Bob Dylan has recorded that are over 61 years old. And what's amazing is he's got like 50 studio records or 40 studio records, 17 live records, countless bootleg series, countless singles, countless compilations, and he's still going strong. Actually, we're going to go see him in in September of this year with the Outlaw Festival with Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, a bunch of other people. So we're really looking forward to that. Now here's a treat, a 6-eye, original Columbia mono 6-eye. Okay, so this is the first record from 1960. Was it, what did I say? 1962, released in March of 62. So because of Bob Dylan, in a way, Billy Joel signed with Columbia. And once Billy Joel signed with Columbia, he took off because he came out with Piano Man. And then he came out with, where is it here? I have my props somewhere. If I can find them, just bear with me. Came out with this album, The Stranger, which was one of the biggest records that Columbia has ever released. The Stranger, with Just the Way You Are, Moving Out, Anthony's song, Thank You, Only the Good Die Young, She's Always a Woman, and here he's, whatever this cover means, but here's a good shot of him with the guys in the band. Billy Joel's got the gangster look here, bottle of red, bottle of white. So because of Bob Dylan, we could say Billy Joel is now with Columbia. He's always been with Columbia. He's still with Columbia to this day. He's still rocking out, and I know he hasn't been doing too well physically, but we hope that he's on the rebound. So we have Bob Dylan, this record. Here's a mono 6i. Here's a reissue that Big John got me on Sundays. This is also a mono with the liner notes that are the same as this. Pretty good recording, but I'm sure it's digital. Then we have Freewheeling Bob Dylan. Now, great album. One of my son's favorite. Here's the Freewheeling Bob Dylan. I have to check again and see if this is the rare one. I always forget to check. I come across Dylan once in a while, but there is a rare one with some misprints. Here's the 360 sound. This is a 2i, an original 2i stereo, and all these are in really good shape, VG Plus and beyond that. Here's a good one that my son said, don't ever get rid of this one, and I'm not. All the Dylan records, dead records, are going to him. But here we have Bob Dylan and Route Libre. That is the Freewheeling Bob Dylan in French, a French pressing. And I'll show you what the label looks like. There's the actual jacket, the floppy type of laminated jacket. And that's a beautiful French pressing, right? Wow. French pressing, man. A hard rain's gonna fall, blowing in the wind, girl from North Country, Masters of War, Down the Highway, I Shall Be Free, Karina Karina, incredible. So Bob Dylan, what can I say about Bob Dylan then? So Freewheeling, May 27, 1963. All these records are over 60 years old or 61 years old. And that's the reason, Peter sent me a copy of one of the records I'm going to show and said this record's 61 years old today. And chance would have it, I just played it the other day. I added it to another video I did on artists. Forget whatever the segment was, and I did a short on it. So it was really cool that I didn't know it was 61 years old. Okay, so there we have the times. They are changing. You can see Bob Dylan starting to look older, although he's a very young man at this time. The Lonesome Death of Haiti Carroll, Boots of Spanish Leather, The Times They Are Changing, North Country Blues. This is tremendous. This is probably a regular Columbia pressing, which sounds pretty good. Not as good as some of the originals that are left in good condition, but still good to have. And then we have Bringing It All Back Home, I guess. Oh no, we have another side of Bob Dylan, which today is actually 61 years old. It was released in August of 64. So there you have that one, another side, Bob Dylan. And just a tremendous record. And I mentioned you have to really be on something strong to understand these liner notes by Bob. This is just a regular Columbia pressing, later Columbia pressing, which I'm not really crazy about. As you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s vinyl of American records weren't that great. So then we have the classic from 1965, 365, March, Bringing It All Back Home. Bob Dylan, some great shots here with Joan Baez. Great cover. He's got some great albums on here that he's looking at. And this is an original 2i Columbia in stereo. You can see that 2i, that's in stereo. And the reason, again, I'm showing these, it's twofold. Billy Joel signed to Columbia because of how Columbia treated Bob Dylan's career, basically. And, of course, he loved Bob Dylan. But he could have signed with Atlantic, and these records are all from the 60s, and they're all 60 years old. So amazing. And Bob Dylan is still kicking ass. We're going to go see him. And believe me, check out his clips on YouTube. I've seen Bob Dylan maybe 7 times, 8 times. Not a lot compared to, my friend Hank out there and my son and stuff, but or even Peter. But he sounds so good. There were times 10 years ago when you were hoping that the set was ending. He was really, lethargic, sounded like he didn't want to be there. But lately, last year I saw him at the Outlaw Fest again in New Jersey, and he was phenomenal. I didn't want it to end. It was great, and now I think he even sounds better, so we're looking forward to that. So here we have another one, which is the last one in the 60s, Highway 61 Revisited. Bobby Dylan, Mr. Zimmerman, there's the 2i, really nice condition. You can see that. Hold that up a little bit there. And here are the liner notes. Person who first owned this was initials were MK. That doesn't bother me. I think it adds to the collectability for me that someone had this record and loved it, that he kept it in like almost, near mint, excellent condition. It really took care of it, and that's a 60-year-old record. Here we have another copy of it. This is the mono, I believe, and this is just a regular press from a later reissue series. And these records have been reissued numerous times. So there it is. That's the connection. Billy Joel is with Columbia. Could have been with Atlantic. Probably after Atlantic, who knows, could have been with anybody. But stuck with these Columbia people, Clive Davis. Clive Davis talks about Billy Joel in the documentary. And another fun fact is that contract I talked about from Family Productions that he signed to when he did Cold Spring Harbor. It was such an ironclad contract that Clive Davis actually had to give whatever monies they bought out the contract, but he had to give Family Productions a 25 cents royalty on every album that Billy Joel sold henceforth. And I don't know how long that contract, that little bit of royalty payout lasted, but 25 cents on a record when Billy Joel was selling millions of records, especially things like The Stranger and Piano Man and those other albums in between, just a tremendous payout for Family Productions. So, you back a guy, don't do too well initially, you get that great content. That's why lawyers are important, and lawyers are not liked. So there you have it. I want to thank Peter again for this inspiration, Billy Joel for the inspiration, and of course Bobby Dylan for the inspiration for this great video. Stay well, and again, thanks for watching. Please consider subbing. Please consider liking and commenting. And we'll see you soon. Keep rocking. Ciao.